Because of the following special broadcast, 48 Hours will not be presented this evening, but will return 1 week from tonight at its regular time.
For the past 48 hours, I have endured in this loony bin. I have witnessed every debauchery allowed under the Napoleonic Code. Drunken men have paraded before me in lampshades. Girls in bikinis have thrust their samples in my face. I have been the only person in this entire city who has maintained even one semblance of decorum, and you are now telling me to keep my voice down? Well, this is the last straw.
Where are you going?
I'm going to sleep in Anthony's room, and I don't care who knows it, and I don't care how it looks. Hey, New Orleans! I am Julia Sugarbaker, and I'm gonna go sleep in Anthony Bouvier's room. I am white, he is black. We are not engaged, and he is significantly younger than I am. So just put that in your etouffee and chug on it.
From the city of Boston, it's Sunday, August 18, 2013. Good evening, I'm Neshoba, and won't you talk with me about video games? Coming up later in the show is programmer and Nintendo fan Igor from Sydney, Australia. But first, here's something we think you'll really like.
Meine Damen und Herren, Mesdames et Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen. But now,
Club.
is proud to present
Very beautiful young lady. She's so beautiful. Oh,
Talent.
Oh.
Charming. I have only yesterday said, I want you for my wife. And she said,
Your wife? What would she want with
She
me?
want with me. I give you that international sensation, Fräulein Sally Ball.
What good is sitting all alone in your room? Come hear the music play. Life is a cabaret, old chum, so come to the cabaret. Put down the knitting, the book and the broom. It's time for a holiday. Life is a cabaret, old chum, come to the cabaret. Come taste the wine, come hear the band, Come blow your horn, start celebrating. Right this way, your table's waiting. No use permitting some prophet or doom to wipe every smile away. Life is a cabaret, old chum, so come to the cabaret. I used to have this girlfriend known as Elsie, with whom I shared 4 sordid rooms in Chelsea. She wasn't what you'd call a blushing flower. As a matter of fact, she rented by the hour. The day she died, the neighbors came to snicker. Well, that's what comes from too much pills and liquor. But when I saw her laid out like a queen, she was the happiest corpse I'd ever seen. I think of Elsie to this very day. I'd remember how she turned to me and say, what good is sitting all alone in your room? Come, hear the music play. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. And as for me, I made my mind up back in Chelsea. When I go, I'm gone like Elsie. Start by admitting from cradle to tomb, it isn't that long a stay. Life is a cabaret, old chum. It's only a cabaret, old chum. And I love a cabaret. Alright, that's it. I'm done with it. Whatever. Whatever it is whatever. Oh my god. I'm done with it.
And we're back. Joining me tonight is Igor. He is a programmer and student at the University of Western Sydney in the Bachelor Program for Information Communication Technology. Igor is also involved with several local gaming groups, including Sydney, Nintendo, and Street Pass fans. He and his partner Matt join us from their home in Sydney, Australia. Igor, welcome.
Yeah, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
But I can't see you anymore.
It's because I turned off this.
I see you. Because it kind of went, you went like this, and then it just froze on that, and then it crashed out.
Oh, nice.
Should have taken the screenshot to show you.
When I'm doing this?
You go like that.
I think I spent half my life like this.
With your hair pulled back?
Yeah.
And now it's all gone.
Yeah. Now just...
I get that when my hair gets too long. I just had a haircut the other week. So yeah, I don't like it when it gets really long. Probably similar to your length. And it just starts getting buffy.
Yeah, there was that.
It doesn't want to get combed. It just want to stick up here and stick over there. And,
There's that one picture I made where it's like me and the Ancient Aliens guy.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, oh my god, like my hair is just like poof, and his hair is like poof. So I felt like, oh yeah, that's who I am right now.
Yeah. Although, weren't you Jesse Raphael for a time?
Yeah, I was told that I looked like Sally Jesse Raphael with the glasses that I had on.
Yeah.
So I Wait, is she like that? Like, did y'all have Sally Jesse Raphael?
I did show her on TV here.
Oh,
back
okay.
Yeah, not anymore. I don't know. Does she still do stuff?
I don't even know if she's alive right now.
Because she used to be on when Phil Donahue was on as well.
Oh my goodness, you had like all of the talk shows.
That were the two big ones, yeah.
Yeah, that was the two big ones, exactly.
Yeah, no, Donahue went for ages until he retired. I don't know how long Sally Jesse went, but I remember seeing her on TV.
Yeah, and I think like of like the British chat shows, like the only thing that's really known in America is like Graham Norton or this guy,
Russell
this
Brand.
latest one. Come on. X Factor. He's on CNN now. No. Okay.
We don't have CNN, so I don't know. Yeah, we don't have cable. It's too expensive. I think just a basic package, or a package just so we could watch Game of Thrones, for example. Mm-hmm. Probably maybe $70 a month.
$70 a month?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, 60 to 70, I think, because you need to get the base package, then you need to get the special package that includes that particular channel. Mm-hmm. It'll probably be 60 to 70 or something. So it's like a rip-off. And, it's no wonder they're calling Australia the biggest pirates of Game of Thrones, when we have such basically no other option.
Well, there is. We can try and get Netflix.
Well, actually, we can get Netflix. People are doing that more and more now. And it's funny, the consumer choice groups are actually telling people how to do it,
so it's not really like an official channel of getting Netflix, but you guys...
There's no official presence in Australia of Netflix.
Oh, we have to get the US IP.
Yeah, go to unblock, get rid of the geo block. That's about $5 a month, and then we can subscribe to Netflix.
Wow.
So for us, that'd work out to be maybe $12 or $13 a month if we did it.
But then the other issue is that we're paying for the download limit on the internet.
Yeah, because we still have download caps.
Yeah, so how much is like your bandwidth?
So at the moment, I actually recently went down a step. It used to be 150 gig a month, and that was 69. And so now I've gone down a step to 60 gigabytes, and that's 49.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've still got crappy internet.
Yeah. And how much does like Skype calls, like how much does that take up?
I think probably like a full chat session or whatever. Could be a couple of 100 megabytes. I don't think Skype and that really take up that much. But if you do it every day, it adds up.
Yeah.
But if you say, look, do it once a week, and it's like for a while, maybe 500 megabytes or I don't know, something like that. That's just a guess. I haven't really looked at it. I do know we used to chat with Joel a lot on Skype, and because we were chatting to him quite often through the week, it was eating up the download, and that during that time we then decided to upgrade to the higher cap. Yeah, we were chatting to Joel, to Oscar, Andy. Yeah, so and all of that, it adds up. Yeah. Although I think FaceTime doesn't take up as much as Skype, I think Skype is the greediest.
It is. Skype and Facebook are pretty much hogs.
Yeah. But with because you've probably heard how our election is coming up in a few weeks' time, and how basically the current government, they're doing the National Broadband Network, which is the fibre to the home. So that means there'll be a fibre connection to about, 90-something%, was it, Matt? Yeah, so just over 90% of homes in Australia will have a direct fibre connection. So basically replacing copper, really. And that the rest, which is typically the inside of Australia, so the country regions, the regional areas, they'll be taken care of through satellite, Wi-Fi, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's slow going, but if the opposition party get in, they'll change it and it'll become fibre to the node. So there'll be a box on the street, and from the house to the node, it'll still be copper. And they say it'll be 25, we can guarantee 25 megabits. And it's like Tony Abbott says, oh, that's more than enough for everyone.
Okay.
Whereas on fibre, it can go up to 100.
Wow.
Although technically speaking, it can go up to 1 gigabit speed, but they're not offering that as a normal, residential type thing.
That's got to be like government only.
Yeah, for businesses that want to do that, I guess they'll have the option to go for 1 gigabit. But just for us normal folk, I think 100 megabits is more than enough. But even then, I think that's a bit expensive. So I think if we ever get NBN here, like I'm hoping we do, but yeah, I'd say, between 25 and 50 is probably good, depending on the pricing, that it's not too expensive. And hopefully they'll do away with the caps.
Yeah.
Or the caps will be much, much larger. It could be a couple of 100 gigabytes or something instead of 100,
So how does that affect being like an online gamer, like any MMOs and stuff like that?
Well, funnily enough, when we moved here the first time, we only had dial-up, and Matt tried playing World of Warcraft. It was just barely playable.
Yeah.
But we then got ADSL and it was fine. But for many years, I would say 4, 5 years maybe. This is from the beginning of Warcraft, that is. So from 2004, when Warcraft started, so about 4 or 5 years from that time, on an Australian connection, like normal connection, our ping would range from 300 up to 600 milliseconds. So I think at first it was around 500 or so, and it sort of slowly got a little bit better. Then after a while, companies were offering VPN to America, so tunneling service. And through the tunneling service, we were able to get 200.
Wow.
And now, we've played recently on Warcraft, just over 200 is normal, and that's without the tunneling service. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be like there's a lot of official, unofficial sort of workarounds to your situation, the consumer organizations, advocating this is how you get Netflix, or how you were saying that VPN was being offered officially.
Yeah. So yeah, and other games are fine. They're around the same sort of latency. Yeah. But I will say though, with Warcraft, even when playing other MMOs, Warcraft always seemed to have the worst latency out of the lot. Even though the others were like a smaller MMO in comparison, Warcraft was always the worst one, which was kind of interesting. And it was like that for many years until, recently when they've done something where it's basically improved the speed a lot between us and them.
Yeah. So tell me about the combat in Warcraft versus other RPGs that you might have an issue with.
I guess my main issue in Warcraft is PvP.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't like the other players, they just start jumping around you. Although the other issue with PvP is the latency. Because in America, the latency there is maybe, I don't know, 20 to 50 milliseconds. Whereas for us, it was, 2 to 500, because it does get worse if there's a lot of people in the area. So they can react fast, but by the time you react to something, they're already a couple of steps ahead of you. So it just kind of felt pointless. Plus, I didn't like some of the attitude. It's one of the reasons I stopped playing the game. Is player attitude, you could say the elitism.
So it would just be like bullying, but like on the way that you actually play the game.
Yeah, it's like you're playing it the way you like to play it. Then you go into a group instance, and they're going, "Oh, your damage is so low. You're so crap. Get away. Get lost."
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Then there'd be people. Well, there'd be other people who are actually completely stupid and do stupid things, but then will blame you for not helping.
Mm-hmm.
And if they go in, die, and they go, "Oh, why didn't you help me?" It's like, well, you're doing a stupid thing.
And did you ever have like any like being personal or whatever? Like, did you have any problems like self-identifying in Warcraft?
I never really revealed much about myself in Warcraft in general. Although I did have an amusing time confusing guys when I played female characters.
Yeah, that's always. I think that's like the cheat code almost, is like you have your one female character, you can just get in a public square and kind of like just dance around for gold.
I haven't actually done that, but I remember talking to some guy, and then I said, "Yeah, I'm a guy," and he goes, "Oh, that's a bit strange. Why are you playing a female character?" It's like, well, it's a role-playing game. I'm just playing a role. Like, when you read a book and the main character happens to be female, it's like that sort of thing. And I think I said to him as well, it's like I don't project myself into the game, which is what a lot of players do. They project themselves into the game. They recreate themselves.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah. I think that's what I like do with something like, especially like Animal Crossing, where it was something that it's sort of like a really personal game, because like your town, the way that over time your character does develop, like even like a little closer physical appearance, it can be like as much of you reflected in the game as possible. So I think it's something like that. You can be really personal.
Yeah. So, but in an MMO, I just don't feel that sort of thing. Whereas something like Animal Crossing, it's a single-player game mainly, and you're just doing it, the way you want to do it.
Right.
So of course it'll be a more personal sort of experience, even though it does have the online part. But that's just people coming to visit what you've done. You're not there fighting each other or anything like that.
Yeah.
You're just visiting, playing games together, and that sort of thing.
I know you could be pretty hostile in Animal Crossing. Like I've had experiences where people come to my town and chop down trees and everything. So
I guess you can be a bit of a troll. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about like Final Fantasy Online, like 11 and like the upcoming 14? What do you think about those?
Well, 11 I tried and absolutely hated it because the way they enforced the group stuff was really terrible, and it was here's my favourite word, overly grindy. So yeah, but I mean, at the time I tried it. At first, I thought, yeah, it's okay. But then, as I was playing into it, then realizing to level up, you had to group. Then you had to go find particular creatures, and only then could you level up or whatever. And I just thought, stuff that. And I just cancelled my account. 14, I tried the recent beta a couple of times, and it's much more relaxed. It's much more solo friendly. So you can just sit there by yourself playing all the way through. You don't have to group up if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think like with 14, especially this week, like I haven't been like really excited about 14 or anything, and then like boom, 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 like 3 things came out like earlier on in the week. I don't know if you saw my Facebook post, but like you can mount unicorns and everything. So I was like, oh my god, unicorns! And then the next day,
did they poop rainbows?
Huh?
Do they poop rainbows?
Oh, I'm sure they will. I said if there's like a crafting skill, like I can just sit there for hours and just brush their hair. I would just love to just like sit there and just brush their hair. Just gain skills that way. But then the next day they revealed Gilgamesh, he's like one of my favorite villains from Final Fantasy. So like somehow he's in the game. They showed like character model and all this stuff. So it's like, oh my god, unicorns and Gilgamesh. And then the day after that was when I saw a post on GayGamer.net about marriage equality in Final Fantasy 14. So. Okay. I guess like the situation is that they don't have anything like official right now, but one beta tester put up like just basically a whole sheet of like this is the reasons why you should have this, and I think it was Square Enix that actually censored the boards. So I don't know. I guess. Square Enix, Final Fantasy, whatever, that'll be sort of like the 38th state that will, refuse to do marriage equality. So whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know, would you prefer to have that sort of choice in the game like that?
I haven't really thought about it, as in to get married with another character or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, not really anything I've thought about in a game like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that the biggest perk is to have, like, the really formal, like, white, pretty armor that you get. So you could just run around and be like, oh, yeah, they're a married couple over there. And, whatever bonuses that the armor gives you.
Yeah. But the couple of times that I've played, the look of the game, it's quite a nice looking game. And gameplay, it's like, everything now basically is very similar to Warcraft with the way they design the little action bars and all the abilities come on there, so you just select them at the right time, and then there's the cooldown and all that sort of stuff. So that aspect, I think, is good because it just adds familiarity to the game to make it easier to play. But then they do have the extra touches to the game that make it different as well. I think like the skills are, quite different. It's very customizable. So like the way you set up your character. So I know Matt probably, I know he laughs at me, like sometimes I spend hours just perfecting my character, if the options are there.
Oh god, so how granulated can you get? Like you just...
Well, I think there's like preset faces, but you can adjust the other features. So it's not completely, fully customizable, but there's a decent amount there.
Do you have choices between the voices that your characters do?
Yes, there's a couple of voice sets that you can choose.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's like 4 or 5.
So what do you think you spend the most time on when it comes to character customization?
Probably the face.
The face.
Yeah. Like if all the options are there, like adjusting the nose, making it longer, adjusting the eyebrows, and then the ears, and then the eyes.
Yeah, you almost did like a Cyrano motion right there, like like the nose like really being really long.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So you were talking about last night. You were talking about you started with the Game & Watch as far as like gaming.
That's as far as I can remember. My dad would get. There's this place in the city here in Sydney, and it's been here like a few decades now. I guess it started off as like a flea market type thing, where just people set up a store and they just sell whatever. And so here in Sydney, there was one set up in the city, but they call it Paddy's Markets.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it was called that back in the 80s. But I remember going there with my dad one time, and there was a stall, and it would just have Game & Watch games all over it, all the different types. So you had Donkey Kong, Zelda, the other Donkey Kong, like Donkey Kong Jr. So you had the flip-top ones and the single-screen ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think I still have the Donkey Kong and Zelda, but it's probably in a box somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember playing them a lot. I played the Donkey Kong one, and I'd be playing and try to get the best score.
Mm-hmm.
And then same for the Zelda one. And I also had some obscure ones. I guess you could consider them like third party. But yeah, that was probably like say mid 80s, I think, something like that. Then in about when was it? 87, I think 87.
Mm-hmm.
Parents bought me a Sega computer. It was just a keyboard. It had a cartridge slot on one side, and you could also get a cassette player, because there would be programs on cassettes, and that's how you would load in the program. And it basically worked on a form of BASIC, so you could also program it.
So did you do any programming on the Sega computer?
Yeah. So it came with a book, because it came with like a cartridge which had BASIC, so I'd have to plug in the cartridge. And then there was a book, and yeah, it just had programs that would just do pretty patterns on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So and I would just sit there typing it all up, and then yep, off it goes. You plug it into the TV. So I had this little TV, and yeah, so watching it draw, the pretty patterns on the screen and stuff like that. And then it kind of progressed a bit more from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also load in the programs off some of the cassettes. Can't remember exactly. I just remember one, which the problem with it is that you put in a cassette, you press play, then you have to press, in the basic cartridge to say load tape.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't set up right, or because you had to tune it as well, and if it wasn't tuned just right, it wouldn't read the data properly. And it's funny, I once listened to the tape and it sounded like similar to what you would hear on a modem when you dial up.
Yeah.
That sort of noise. So, yeah, if it wasn't quite right, it would fail. So you have to rewind the whole tape and start again. So sometimes it could take a while just for it to load. And one of the programs was an ice cream stall manager.
Uh-huh.
So basically, you would buy the ice cream, you'd specify how much you would charge for them. It would then tell you, today's temperature is, so many degrees. And so you would then say, okay, if it's really hot, you'll put more ice cream out. If it's not as hot, you put less out, and then you'd see how much profit you'd make and that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I had 2 games as well, cartridge games. Mm-hmm. Basically, a Wonder Boy clone.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the name there. It's like some sort of nuts and bolts game where there's this puzzle game. It was on like a side view. Mm-hmm. So when you look at it, the plane was slightly elevated at an angle, and there were these little platforms that would move, and you'd jump on them, and I think you had to line them up a certain way, and to make sure they weren't moving anymore, you have to turn these rivets so that way they'd stay in place. So yeah, that was the other game I had. So I had that from 87, and then kind of lost interest in that because, yeah, kind of got boring.
Yeah.
But
well,
then,
with the programming and everything, like, did you ever like get more into like modding games or anything like that? Like, or creating your own?
Well, modding as such probably wasn't even a concept, I think, back then.
Uh-huh.
So to make my own game, I think I may have thought about it, but I just didn't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I really tried it as such. But at that time, I guess I was probably still too young to really think about that as such. It wasn't until high school.
Yeah.
So when I started high school, I got my first PC, like actual PC, which was an AT286 with 1 megabyte of RAM.
Oh, wow.
And I think the hard drive was maybe 5 megabytes.
Uh-huh.
So, or 10 megabytes or something like that, like really small amount.
Mm.
Not long after that, no, it was just the one computer, yeah. And I remember playing with the the config files and all that sort of stuff to try and squeeze out as much memory as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Play games, because some games started requiring a lot of RAM to actually run.
Yeah.
In DOS. So there was that. And then in high school, the science teacher introduced my friends and I to Turbo Pascal, because we were mucking around in BASIC. I think at the time it would have been through Microsoft in DOS, because they had PCs at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were starting the whole IT stuff as well. And there was BASIC, and then the science teacher showed Turbo Pascal to us, which was quite a big deal because you could actually create a program instead of needing an interpreter to run your program. You could just compile it, one file gets spat out, and you can basically run it on any computer. So I think that's when the programming really flew off for me. And that's where I started experimenting with my own stuff. I made like a Hangman game, which used CGA graphics, just little silly things that I would just muck around with. What else?
Is that back when PCs were crappy and Amigas were better?
Yeah, Matt was saying that was back when PCs were crappy and Amigas were better.
Yeah.
Because Matt had an Amiga around that time.
So much better than CGA graphics.
Yeah, that it had better graphics and all that. But I don't think I really ever knew of an Amiga computer. I only knew PC and DOS and that. Then I got my first sound card, because before that it was just through the normal speaker. So it was like beeps and bops and blops and that sort of sound coming out. And the first sound card I got was an Adlib sound card.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, that's when Sierra was starting to become quite big with their adventure games. And I remember I got, was it The Colonel's Bequest? And I remember when I first started that was on the normal speaker, and I bing, 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 bing. And then I put in the Adlib card, and I played the game, and it was just like, it just blew me away what a difference the sound is now when you have like almost normal sounding instruments coming out of the speakers.
Yeah.
And then not long after that, I think Adlib folded or something, or Creative came onto the scene with their Sound Blaster. And I think they bought Adlib. So then I had my first Sound Blaster card, and that was like only a slight step up. But then there were like lots of books and stuff as well. And that's where I started programming to play sounds and stuff like that in my little programs. Yeah. So I remember I would play music, and I'd plug it into the sound card and record it into a WAV file, and then play it back. And then one of the things that I used to do, which I don't know why I found it so fun, back then Windows 3.1 was just starting to appear as well, and it had its own little media player. And the cool thing with that, you could play whatever you recorded really slow, So I'd record a song and then I'd play it slow. And then after finishing high school, I think I upgraded my computer around that time. So I think I got a 386 or a 486. Can't remember now.
Mm-hmm.
And around that time, I got the first CD-ROM drive as well. And I think the first game I got for that was The Seventh Guest.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I remember seeing that there was this computer shop in the city, and they had this huge projector or big TV screen or whatever, and they were playing like The Guest on there.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite impressed by it, so I thought, yeah, I want to get that. So I got that, and I played through it. A tricky game.
Yeah.
Some of the puzzles were very devilish. But the story of the game made no sense to me at all. When I finished it, I was like, what was that game about? And it wasn't until they wrote a book about it, and I read the book, then I was able to piece it all together. I thought, oh, okay, that's what it was on about.
Yeah.
And then I think the other big game for me that I got was the Star Trek: A Final Unity,
Mm-hmm.
and that was quite a big game, and I really enjoyed that too. That was a really good game. It was like really well made, you know. And then during that time, I was at uni as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished high school, went to uni, where I started the Bachelor of IT, and so I was actually learning more programming stuff, although I quickly learned that I hated uni.
I think the wrong age.
Well, I think I was too young for it.
Mm-hmm.
No? Like thinking about it now, I should not have gone from high school straight to uni because I just wasn't prepared. It was the way the teaching is done and all that is completely different from high school. So I just couldn't handle it. So I just kept failing subjects and repeating. And I was there for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And basically my GPA got so low that they excluded me from the course.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah, not a good experience. So it just made me really wary, about studying and stuff. And so it was at that time when that happened, I thought, well, I guess I need to do something. I can't be a bum all my life.
Yeah.
So I decided to move to Sydney because at the time I was living in Brisbane, which I pretty much lived there for most of my life. Even though I was born here in Sydney, my mum moved to Brisbane when I was still a baby. So I moved here, and 8-9 months of being here,
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much found my ideal job, which was quite lucky. I guess it was just that right time, to be there, and because they were calling it like a trainee type position, and when I went there, it just seemed kind of coincidental that the programming language that they were using was based off Turbo Pascal, mm-hmm. which I had previous experience with, like basically self-taught. So they were using Delphi, which is basically the Windows version. Mm-hmm. So, and it seemed like the other candidates that they spoke with didn't have much of an idea of anything about it. So I got chosen,
Nice.
Which is really good. So yeah. I guess going back to the 90s, I didn't have a NES, and I wasn't interested in Sega, the Master System and the Mega Drive. Like, I've played it at friends' places and stuff like that. It never caught my interest. I remember seeing, Alex Kidd and Sonic and all that, but the games just never caught my interest.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing Metroid on a friend's NES. He was
Mm-hmm.
playing it, and I thought, that looks pretty cool. Then he had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well,
Mm-hmm.
and that was pretty cool. And then, of course, Mario. And then I think, when was the SNES? Was that 92 or 93? Can't remember now.
Oh, which one?
The Super Nintendo.
For us, I believe it was 1990 because I remember seeing that date on Super Mario World.
Okay. Huh. I just might look it up because I think we got it. Let's see. Australia. Okay, so officially in Australia, it came out in July of '92, and you guys got it in '91.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so we must have gotten that probably around Christmas time, I reckon, of '92 or early '93.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I just remember playing Mario Kart with my sister and my cousins all the time.
Yeah.
And I still remember, because we would always laugh at my sister, she's holding the controller.
Mm-hmm.
And then every time you turn the corner, she'd be going like this. Actually
going
moving
back and forth
to, left and right as if going round the corner. And we'd be laughing at her. And to think now you can actually do that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And we played Super Mario World as well.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us, when we took turns, like we would go through, we would unlock all the extra, pathways, secret pathways and all that. And, I got to Bowser and defeated Bowser, and then I think my sister did and my cousins did. And then we go on the Star Road and we try and, connect up all of the Star Road and find where they went and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think on the SNES, I encountered my first JRPG, which was Lufia. What was the name? The one with the Sinistrals.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Was it Rise of the Sinistrals?
Yeah, Rise of the Sinistrals, yeah. So that was around 95. So that was my first encounter with a JRPG, and I really enjoyed it. I don't remember if I finished it, but I do remember calling up the Nintendo hotline to help me through some of the puzzles.
Was it a charged call, or was it just kind of a free call, or?
No, it did have a charge, so I had to ask my mum for permission. So yeah, there was that. And then I think one of the other games that I guess I'll always remember playing on the SNES is two games. The Addams Family game, the one that was kind of based on the first movie, mainly because of the music. I just loved the music in that one. And it wasn't too difficult of a platforming game. But then there was Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt.
Oh.
And that was a very difficult game. No save points, no password saves. If you wanted to finish the game, you had to do it in one session.
Oh my goodness.
And it was very tough.
And did you finish the game?
I think so. I can't remember now, but I think I did. Because you have like different items you have to collect. Things like 5 or 6. And I think I did get them all. So I think I did finish it. But yeah, it's like I spent ages going through the levels. And it's like my favourite in that was the bathroom. Again, I liked the music in there. And also, it was just crazy. You had like rubber duckies that you would jump on. For some reason, there would be swimming cats in there and sounds of whipping as if they were getting whipped or something. So you hear this meow and whip. So, yeah. And then I think probably mid-90s, possibly. I think that's when I got a Game Boy as well. And a really chunky one. And I can't really remember the games that much on the Game Boy. But I do remember playing, Mario, I think Wario was there. Yeah. Then as each new version of the Game Boy came out, I was getting the new version as well. So I got the Pocket, the Color, and so on. But with the Color, that's probably where I finished my first Zelda game, which was the Link's Awakening. I actually played that, like the original version, which was the black and white version.
Yeah.
And then I got it again when it came out on the color.
Yeah, for the DX version.
They added new stuff to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember playing it and I actually finished it. Yeah. And then when I moved to Sydney, I had some money, and around that time, the Nintendo 64 came out, so which was in '99. So I got the Nintendo 64 with Mario 64 and Zelda as well. So, and I remember playing Mario because I had this little TV, so I would just be playing Mario. I didn't get all the stars, but I got enough to finish the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I quite enjoyed it. I remember that I did enjoy playing it. Zelda was another story. I mean, at first I was enjoying it, and I liked the atmosphere of it, and that sort of thing. But for me, it was the controls. I guess that was probably the beginning of my problem with, in the 3D space, aiming. You know, the arrows, and how you had to sometimes aim and shoot at eyes and stuff like that. And I just found it really difficult to move the little stick so that the aim, would be on the correct target. So yeah.
Yeah, my gaming confession about Zelda on the Nintendo 64 is I've never finished Majora's Mask because there's a fish boss like halfway through the game, and he goes over this platform and you have to aim your arrows while he's flying overhead, and I just couldn't get coordinated with that.
Yeah, I did get Majora, but again, that's when another gameplay element started to irritate me, which was the timed thing, the time limit. And I was finding that was irritating me because I felt I wasn't completing the tasks within the time limit. I felt I was too slow. So I just pretty much gave up on Majora because I was just finding it too difficult to do all that was needed to continue on in the game. So yeah.
Do you feel that games changed more over time, or was it like just sort of like your mindset about how gameplay elements and stuff?
Well, I would say games have definitely changed, and I would say, thinking about it now, Mario 64 really changed it. That was like a huge step for platforming, and of course everyone just copied it. In their own way, but and also I guess with me, I was finding I didn't have patience for certain gameplay elements that were getting introduced, or I was finding that my orientation within the 3D world, I found that difficult with the controls, and especially on the GameCube, which I got later on. Some of the games I was fine with, but anything that required precise aiming, I just couldn't do it. I always went the wrong way, or I wasn't quick enough to get in that direction to aim, in that direction, so I could shoot or whatever. And it's like, with shooter type games, so go back again to the 90s. I played Hexen, Heretic. I played Wolfenstein when it first came out on PC, and I killed Hitler.
Yeah.
And I found that fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun game. And back then, I think it was easier to play compared to how it is now. Because now you have to be really precise so that you shoot them. But I just can't get that precision anymore. I find I'm very uncoordinated.
Do you think it's also like a difference between like using the keyboard and mouse versus the actual controller?
Yeah, I do. For that sort of thing, I do find it easier on PC because the mouse, it does feel more precise. Whereas with the little joystick, it's only your thumb that's controlling it. And so even now, like say Pikmin, I prefer the remote controls rather than the gamepad controls because the gamepad, when you use the left stick, the targeting circle moves around. But as a side thing, I find it irritating that the character moves as well rather than standing still. But with the targeting circle, when using the left stick, I find it trickier to aim at specific targets. Whereas with the remote, I can just point at it and go ahead and it's done. So that's the same with sort of the shooters. Now with the mouse, I can easily move to where I want to aim at, but on a standard controller, I find that it seems to be you need to be really precise just to make sure you hit the right thing. I find that every time if I'm playing a game like that, I'm always off target slightly, and then when I try to adjust, it then moves off target again, and adjust back, and it moves over again. So I just find it frustrating.
Yeah. And going back to the JRPGs, because you mentioned Lufia before, is it like were you dealing also with like the distribution factor of like being in Australia and not really having like Japanese games like that? Do you feel like going back over your memories? You feel like you really wanted to play more games?
I think at the time I probably didn't even think of it as a JRPG. I just said, oh yeah, it's an RPG and that's it. I think I probably didn't have that idea that it was somehow very different or anything like that, like how it's labelled now. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't really remember that much more about it. So I can't really remember what I would have been thinking with regards to that at the time. But I can't remember if I played any other RPGs at that time, and I don't think there were a lot around that time. I don't think it really went big until Baldur's Gate. I think that's where it went from there.
Yeah.
But before that, I wasn't really aware of a lot of RPGs or JRPGs. I don't think I even knew of Final Fantasy, and I'm not sure if Final Fantasy actually came out here or not. Yeah, I don't remember them.
So like even like up to like Final Fantasy VII, you didn't have these games, or?
Well, I wasn't aware. I think I vaguely may have heard of 7, but I did hear of 8 because they actually had TV advertising for 8. But it was just a vague sort of thing, and I wasn't terribly interested. Like it didn't grab me. I didn't think, I need to get a PlayStation 1 to play it.
Yeah.
I think at the time I probably didn't even think about a PlayStation 1. I was probably still playing Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where I was too, because I got a Super Nintendo pretty late, and so like actually then trying to jump into Sony PlayStation, like I was still like back there in like the 16-bit area, but at least with PlayStation, like going to my friends' houses and stuff like that, you were able to like a lot of the games like Resident Evil or something like that was like really like atmospheric, and the technology, like you were able to kind of like be a little bit more immersed in games.
We'll be back for more with Igor in just a minute. Right now, I'd like to thank the following podcasts for their inspiration and support: GameBuoy.org, Game Bar, which is spelled with a capital Gay, Koopa Club, Koopa with a Q, Club with a K, Orange Lounge Radio, Horde House, and VG Realness. If you like what you hear on this show, give these others a listen and thanks. If you hate my show, listen to these other guys anyway, and blame them for all the evil in the world. Let's get back to Igor's home in Sydney.
Well, there you go. For example, Final Fantasy VI never came out here.
Wow.
So you guys got it back in '94.
Yeah.
There was a European re-release on PlayStation 1 in 2002. And then it got released again on the Game Boy Advance in 2007.
Wow.
But yeah, originally it never came out here. And in the 90s, a lot of games did not come here at all. So only you guys got it.
Well, the tables are turning, because now you're getting some stuff where we have to like wait. So
yeah, and I'm hearing so much bitching and moaning from you guys about it. Saying, oh, it's late, it's coming a few weeks after. Why? Why do we have to wait? It's like, well, welcome to our world for the last few decades. And even then, some games still don't come out here anyway.
Yeah, we're Americans. We want everything now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, Mario RPG. Like you've been playing Mario and Luigi Dream Team. It seems like you gave it a pretty glowing review on your blog. So
yeah, so it was much better than what I expected. I've only played the Game Boy and Partners in Time from before. I didn't play Bowser's Inside Story. I don't know, I think the idea of it just didn't interest me as much at the time. But now I'm hearing it's meant to have a really good story. So I may try it sometime soon. But the first one, on Game Boy Advance, I remember playing that one. And I think I finished it, but I can't remember now, because it was so long ago. Partners in Time, I got a fair way through, and near the end, I think I realised I was missing certain items, but I can't remember what. And I was in a boss battle or a mini boss battle or something, and I just kept dying, and I think I just wasn't high enough or something to get past it. And it felt like I've somehow stuffed up the game, so I just gave up on it. But with Mario and Luigi, I think I was able to get through the whole game. But I guess, yeah, one of the things that I'm finding now, and over the last few years, is that I'm not really good with real-time combat. So, and in Mario and Luigi, you have what I like to call the reflex gameplay. You have to press the button at the right time to either do extra damage or get an extra jump, or alternatively you do a counter attack or some sort of defensive move or whatever. As long as you press it at the right time, it'll do whatever it does. But in this game, I found, I don't know, half the time or just over half the time, I would miss the press. So when I was attacking, I'd be okay. Like the jumping was easy and using the hammer was fairly easy. So that timing I was okay with. But I think a lot of the counter attacks, I think that's where I had a lot of issues. Because some of the counterattacks, I couldn't work out exactly what I had to do the counterattack. Even though it shows you what you need to press, I couldn't work out, well, what do you do with it? You know, when do you press it and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Other times where, I knew what to press and I knew when to press it, but the thing would move too fast and I couldn't react fast enough to counter it. So I would get hit. And the game is a little bit punishing in that if you miss these counterattacks, if you miss too many in a row, it kind of leads to like a domino effect and you could get wiped out very quickly. Because if they get dizzy or some other similar status where you lose control, they're pretty much gone.
Wow.
So I found that a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, they've added in the easy option. So if you die, you get presented to retry, like normal retry, or a special easy retry. So where they basically boost the stats of Mario and Luigi just for that battle. And I found I probably had to use that 4 or 5 times in the game.
Okay.
I think 3 were for bosses, because some of the boss battles were quite long. They took a long time to get through, and that was probably mainly due to me missing those counterattacks.
Yeah.
So I would die, so then I would go into easy mode, and I would then probably kill the boss within 2 or 3 rounds instead of taking 10 or 15 rounds.
Yeah. Now, did you have or did you know of the first Super Mario RPG that was on Super Nintendo?
I think that was one of the ones that never came out here. I could check, but I don't remember seeing that for the NES. So the Legend of the Seven Stars.
Yeah.
America only. So in '96, it came out for you guys. It only came out on the Virtual Console on the Wii in 2008. I do have it on the Wii, but
okay.
I played it briefly. And thought, it's like not a bad sort of game.
Yeah.
But it never came out here.
There is a bit of element of like what you call reflex gameplay in the first one, but what you described, like the punishing nature of this latest one, I don't think that was there in that. And then Paper Mario, like the first one that came out for the Nintendo 64. Did you guys have that or?
Yeah, that actually came out here.
Okay.
I don't remember if I got that or not.
But you did play like Thousand Year Door and like a little bit of Super Paper Mario on the Wii, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thousand Year Door, I kind of liked it, and even that also has the reflex type stuff, and I was having issues in there as well with that. But I think with Thousand Year Door, I don't know, I think I just lost interest. Like the motivation to play it, it just wasn't there anymore.
Do you think that there was probably...
I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like, I was playing it and then I just stopped playing it.
Was there probably like anything going on in your life that might have like taken your motivation away, or?
Well, when did that come out? Let's see. I can't remember when that game came out.
It had to be mid-2000s.
Yeah. So that was 2004.
Yeah.
So I probably would have gotten it just after that. I don't think there was anything going on at the time.
Well, that's when you got Mamoru.
Huh?
That's when you got Mamoru. Your cat?
Yeah, just blame the cat. It's the cat's fault.
I don't have the attention for this game. It's all going to the cat.
Yeah. Well, I think didn't Wind Waker come out around this time as well? 2003. So, because I got Wind Waker as well, and I played through that a fair bit too. I got up to the Triforce quest, and that's when my motivation evaporated.
Yeah, because they handled. I mean, I really like Wind Waker. It's actually like one of the better ones for me. But I think that the way that they handled like actually doing the Triforce, where you just have to kind of just dredge for pieces instead of actually doing like something really exciting, it kind of took it out of that. Yeah,
because I really enjoyed the different temples and going underwater and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. I thought it was really cool, and I really liked the story of it. I thought it was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then, when it got, okay, now just go around all the ocean picking up pieces. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, stuff you, see ya. But in saying that, I'm probably likely to get the Wii U version.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, I'm thinking I might give it another go.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least you have the gamepad this time around, so it might be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Were you able to get your hands on like the Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass?
Oh, Phantom Hourglass.
Oh god, you're making a face.
That, I think Phantom Hourglass is the first DS game that made me rage quit. That, something serious, that I slammed shut the DS really hard. I was kind of worried that I did something to it or whatever. Because it was that temple in the middle. And again, it's the time limit stuff that really got to me. Because it records the time you spent the last time you went through there. So that when you come back to go through to the next stage, it remembers the time you spent from last time. But because I spent too long to get through, that means I had very little time to get to the next part. And I just hated that. And it just really irritated me. And yeah. I've given Spirit Tracks a go. I got through the first temple. On my way back to the castle, these two evil trains or whatever they were show up, and I can't get past them.
Oh wow!
I keep getting smashed, so I don't think I'll be playing that one.
Well, what about Twilight Princess or like Skyward Sword? Any Zelda that's come out since?
Twilight Princess, I really like the visuals of it, especially that sort of almost computer-like digital. How the squares of the Twilight creatures and that sort of stuff. That's pretty cool. And the music's good, of course, as always. I think I got up to... I think I saved a couple of the spirits, maybe 3, and I got up to... Is it Lake Helia? I think the large lake in the middle.
Yeah.
I think I got up to that stage and lost motivation. It just evaporated.
do you think big games are probably like too long or something because you tend to lose motivation like at the halfway point?
It depends on the game. For some games, I love that they go for a very long time. Say, for example, Planescape Torment. Really enjoyed that game. And that could be quite a long game. And I remember sitting for hours talking to, what was his name, Darkon? I think it was Darkon. Where you talk to him, and if you chose the right options when talking to him, he would level up. You know, his sword would become stronger. And I remember spending like a couple of hours on that. You know, and I'm sure overall I probably spent, you know, a long time on it. You know, or even Xenoblade, I spent 80 hours on that. You know, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, not the PlayStation one. I spent 60 hours on that.
Oh my
80 hours on the second one. So it depends on the game. I think with Zelda Twilight, I think it could have been the controls. That was starting to irritate me. I was getting tired. I think that's one thing is that, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like, say, real time, is that I start getting tired because you constantly have to do it. You know? So, yeah, and I just lost motivation. Yeah. I recently got Skyward Sword, and I tried it. I'm in the first temple. And I got up to the Girahim fight, the battle. And yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, like
Miyamoto.
The timing and when they actually first did the demo, Miyamoto was like just waving around. It was like, okay, who has their Wi-Fi on in here because he can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like up to that point, I was okay with the controls, and I could get the different slashes and stuff like that. When I got up to that battle, I was just finding it frustrating because you had to, just the way you had to slash and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know. I might try and get back to it later and try it again, and maybe I'll get through it. But I don't know. Yeah, but I did finish Ocarina on the 3DS because it was much easier with the motion stuff. And so that way it was easier to aim when I had to aim at stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like also earlier you had you had like family and friends to kind of like get together for like playing Mario Kart and stuff like that. Like as you got older, how did your attitude towards multiplayer change?
I didn't really get into multiplayer much. Like local multiplayer, like say within the same room. That was just Mario Kart. And then, I guess, just thinking about it, I don't think I really had any other friends that had or were that interested in playing, say, Mario Kart or whatever. So I just stuck to single-player stuff. And then when I got, say, the Nintendo 64, it was just all single-player stuff. I didn't bother with any multiplayer stuff. So, like, I didn't play GoldenEye or anything like that. Although, when I got the GameCube, well, actually, no. Before the GameCube, I was meeting up with friends to play Mario Party.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. So I did that for a while. But, yeah, when Mario Party went on the GameCube, it wasn't, I don't know, it was a bit different.
Yeah.
I think it didn't feel the same like the Nintendo 64 versions did. Because, I remember playing 1 and 2 a fair bit. But, on the GameCube, it was like... it wasn't that interesting. The games didn't feel as interesting or whatever. So, yeah. But, say, with online multiplayer, I don't think it really attracted me that much. I wasn't really that interested in it. So,
I'm sorry, I was just going back over the Mario parties because I know like 1, 2, 3 were on Nintendo 64, and then like despite like how much I was like about the GameCube ones, like 4 through 7, like 4 of them came out on the GameCube. So like I don't know, I do remember I think it was 6 was the one with the microphone, and there was
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. There was one with a Chinese sort of board where you would go up the mountain and everything. You'd have to like kick this gong, and I remember that was like one of my favorite boards. But I still think like 3 was like the high point of the series for me because there was so much going on and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
yeah.
And the Wii version was just wasn't there at all.
Did you ever have like how aggressive did it get when playing Mario Party? Because it can be a pretty vicious game.
Yeah, I would always try to get all the stars.
Yeah. And who would you main in Mario Party?
Sorry?
Who's your character in Mario Party?
Oh, I think I always played Wario.
Oh, Wario. Wow, cool.
Yeah, I would always choose Wario. And then I would steal everyone's stars and try to make sure I would get, you know how you get the bonus stars? So to make sure that I would get the bonus stars as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Why do you think you picked Wario out of everybody?
Not sure why. I think I just kind of liked Wario at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was like the opposite of Mario.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think.
Princess or Waluigi?
Yeah, Matt usually chose the princess or Waluigi.
Oh, which princess?
Was it Peach? Oh, Peach. Yeah, he'd be Peach.
Oh, okay.
So Peach has got it.
The way her dress moves made it easier to do some of the jumping.
Oh, that's right. And with some of the mini games, especially if you had jumping, Matt would find it easier timing-wise because he would look at the dress, the way the dress would rise, make it easier to press the button at the right time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So it wasn't like Matt was having like fantasies of being like a princess or anything like that.
No.
Strategic.
Yeah, it's all strategic.
It's all strategic, okay.
Waluigi was just because he was cool.
And then he just liked Waluigi because he thought he was cool.
Yeah, a lot of people like Waluigi, and they're kind of disappointed that he hasn't been included in Smash Brothers up to this point. But hopefully, with the next one, they'll throw him a bone.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be cool if they do include him, but yeah.
No, I think we also wanted. I mean, we were talking about Mario and Luigi Dream Team, but then you also kind of like, I guess, had like some contrast comparison to Paper Mario Sticker Star.
Yep. Yes.
As in one was actually much more better than the other.
Yes. Yeah, I was surprised I actually finished Sticker Star.
Oh, you
I guess
finished
I just
it?
felt, yeah, I finished it. I think I just felt I had to finish it.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I guess, so if any criticism, I would say, well, I did finish it. So, but yeah, I think at first I was defending the game, when it first came out. Because it did cause, a lot of issues and for people. Like they were really disappointed in that. So at first I was defending it, but then as I started progressing through it, I was seeing the problems. And the stripping out the RPG stuff. It's like I thought was a big change to the game that just made it feel completely different to what I was expecting. Because I was expecting, Paper Mario, it'll have RPG stuff in it, but there was none of that. It was basically, it just felt like a platformer, a 3D platformer, Paper Mario skin, and stickers.
Yeah. Were you able to like fill up your museum? Were you able to complete the sticker collection?
I didn't bother with that.
You didn't bother?
It's like the museum. Who cares? Yeah, that was the least interesting part of the game for me. The museum. I couldn't really care about it.
You don't really like to do like like acquisition or collection like that in a game?
Only to a point. Only where it's necessary.
Yeah.
And then anything beyond that, I'll get bored.
Okay.
Because it's too repetitive, and it comes back to being grindy.
So when it's like going after like rare loot in an RPG or something like that, that's okay. But when it comes to like, oh god, we gotta fill up this whole museum of stickers, that's where your motivation gets lost.
Yeah. Because I think with, say, getting the gear, that means you can pretty much use it straight away to improve your character. Whereas the museum, it's just there to look at. It doesn't really add anything to the game as such.
Yeah. And you said you played Pikmin. It gave you like a pretty, like it was a cute game for you and everything.
Well, I started playing it. I'm probably just a couple of days into it. But yeah, I'm finding it okay. Don't know how I'll go with the later stages. But I'll just keep playing it. I have played the first two. The first one I played for a bit. But then, again, the time limit aspect just got to me because I thought I can't get through these areas fast enough to be able to finish the game. And then the second one I thought was much better because there was no time limit. But I guess I probably just lost interest. Sometimes I get distracted easily with games. So I may forget a game and it'll just go off somewhere and sit there on the shelf, and then I probably just won't think about it ever again. But yeah, with Pikmin 3, it's an improvement, and it looks really good. So I guess I'll just see how I go with it. I just have to keep playing.
Do you have anything on your shelf that you might want to like pick back up like fairly soon?
Sort of.
Yeah, I see your shelf back there. The one thing that I can make out is your Buffy collection at the top.
No, it's not Buffy.
Oh, it's not?
No. I can show you. Oh, I'll just show you collection there.
Lunar Nights, Game & Watch, Pokemon Conquest. There's Nintendo Land and Darksiders 2. These are the Wii U games. And Funky Barn.
Yep.
And a bunch of DS games here. Castlevania, Electroplankton, Tetris, Theatrhythm. Yeah, there's Mario and Luigi. Project Rub. That's Rub Rabbits? Oh, no. Yeah, there it is.
Yes, that's the second game.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course...
Xenoblade, Last Story. Is that 2 copies?
That's the case. It's like a special version thing, yeah.
Now, this is the thing right here. Project 02. Oh my god. You lucky bastards.
So yeah, there's that. And probably the thing that you saw up the top here.
Yeah, Vampire Princess. Okay.
And then all of this. And then this.
And a bunch of Slayers.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm not really sure what game I would go back to try and finish or whatever. Yeah.
What about the ones that you play now? The new ones?
Yeah, it's just really the new ones. So I was thinking maybe after Pikmin, I might do Darksiders. So yeah, I'll see how I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you because you have Theatrhythm up on the shelf, and I know that you were talking about like the reflex gameplay in RPGs. So I was actually wondering like if you do play rhythm games like that, like anything that does require like a bunch of timing.
Well, funnily enough, I actually sold Theatrhythm.
You just have the case?
Well, I have to give the case because it was at one of the Sydney meetups. And I had the cartridge with me, and then the guy says, "Oh, I'd really like Theatrhythm," and I go, "Do you want to buy it off me?" And he said, "Yep." So he bought it off me. I just have to give him the case next time I see him. Yeah, I do sort of find an issue with those sort of games. That one is okay. It's like Owen Dunn.
We call it differently. It's
it
Elite Beat Agents.
Yes, but Owen Dunn is the first one that basically started it all. That one's okay, and I played that, and I was okay with that. Like, it wasn't the best. But then there's like that game, Harmonite.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried the demo for that, and
it's probably a blend of two frustrations.
I think to me it felt like you had to be really precise with the button pressing.
Mm-hmm.
Any mistimed button press and it just wouldn't register.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought not going to get that. Because I also read that it gets really, really difficult towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Thought, no.
I do like that Game Freak is kind of like branching out and doing more games than just Pokemon. I mean, there is Harmonite. There's also one that we just found out about called Solitaire Horse, which is solitaire and horse racing combined in some way. So,
I heard about that one.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. That's just weird.
That's just weird.
Yeah, the horse racing and solitaire or whatever. It's just a bizarre mashup.
Yeah. So, but with Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Yeah, so like you said a bunch of like grinding and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure Pokemon is like
that's the epitome of grinding.
I think Joel actually has a picture up on his Facebook about like Pokemon, like when you would first start playing, if you played on the Game Boy or whatever, and you're thinking about like, oh, it's just a really cool game, and I'll just like do an earthquake move to like everybody, and just blow everybody up. And now it's just like this really like micromanaging, like you need a spreadsheet in order to actually like understand how to play.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like that's you have zero motivation to get out of Excel to play Pokemon.
Yeah, well, I tried Pokemon Black,
and
when I reached the capital city or whatever it is, that's pretty much where the game stopped for me. Because I realized that the level difference between the Pokemon I had and what I probably would have needed them to be to get past the gym in the city was like about 6 levels difference or something. Which meant I would have had to just mindlessly had to run around in the grass. And so I thought, no. Not going to do that.
So it wasn't even like the difference between like you knew like the elements and stuff, like how to like fight different Pokemon.
Although they kind of confused me as well. Like I could get the basic ones, but when they start mixing up, the combos, that's what just confuses the hell out of me. But yeah, we may get Pokemon X, I think, or X. See if that's any different.
Just one copy.
Just one copy.
Yep.
So it's not you're going to get X and Matt's going to get Y or whatever. You're just going to get the one X.
Yep, that'll be enough.
Or we just get the one that our friends haven't got or whatever.
Yeah, or we may just get the opposite to what our friends get. We'll see. We'll see closer to time.
Yeah, now, what's the difference between you and Matt on, like, Pokemon Conquest?
Matt finished it, I haven't.
And what was the challenges there? Was it still, like, the same thing with Pokemon? Or, I mean, I know there was, like, the strategy element, so it had to be like a completely different game.
It was different. I just lost interest in it. I was still in the early stages, like the first sort of part of it.
Yeah. Right now, we're just the camera's just kind of inching to get the cat into the frame. The way Skype is set up, like my face is like right over the cat. So
but
it's
sorry. In Conquest, it's like I like that it's like a tactic style sort of game. Mm-hmm. But I think I don't know. I can't remember now what it was. I just lost interest, the motivation to play it.
So would you consider yourself like a Nintendo fan, even though a lot of the games like you lose motivation for?
Yeah, I prefer the Nintendo systems. I had Xbox for a while. Mm-hmm. Well, I had both Xboxes actually. I got the first one just to play Jade Empire. Mm-hmm. And when I finished Jade Empire, I traded it all in. Mm-hmm. Didn't really care about any of the other games. They didn't really interest me. Then Xbox 360, I just got it for Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon. Mm-hmm. I got disappointed with Blue Dragon. It was too old school. Mm-hmm. And Lost Odyssey, I got a fair way through. I probably got fairly close to the last boss. Mm-hmm. But I kind of lost motivation to play it. Yeah. And around that time, well, I was thinking of coming back to it to try and finish it off because I wanted to sell it to put the money towards the Wii U. Mm-hmm. But I just couldn't get into it. Mm-hmm. Even though I enjoyed playing the game up to that point, I guess I just lost the motivation for it. I did play Fable 2, a little bit of Viva Pinata, but nothing else. That's it. It just sat there gathering dust most of the time, and it became a box for the cats to sit on.
What do you usually stream? Like your movies? Do you just stream them on like a computer, or did you use Xbox for any of its streaming features?
Didn't use Xbox for anything really. Yeah, probably used the PlayStation 3 for that. Because we played DVDs, Blu-rays on it. I was using like a server type thing to stream over the Wi-Fi to the PlayStation. But then it was, I don't know, the quality for some reason stopped being good, is getting too choppy. And then I found another program that could then work through the Wii U browser, and that works really well. So if I've been streaming any stuff, it's now through the Wii U browser. So at the moment, I've only got the Wii U and the PlayStation 3.
And do you have like anything coming out for the PlayStation 3 that you're interested in?
Not really.
Not really. It's just sitting there.
The only game that we're likely to get sometime soon is probably Disgaea, Disgaea 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and certain JRPGs, yeah. So we do have Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2, and it's the particular one that can play PlayStation 2 games as well. Actually, there is one that I'm looking forward to, the X and X2 HD release.
Yeah.
So I've already pre-ordered that, so it's just a matter of waiting for it to come out.
Have you already played both of those, or is this going to be your first time?
Yeah, I played them and finished them. Yeah.
I actually finished X2, but not 10 Part 2, and I haven't finished Final Fantasy 10. So.
Okay. Where'd you get up to?
I got up to the fights with Sin, so...
At the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got all through that. I remember spending a long time on the game.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it. And I actually tried to get the extra summons as well, or the ones that I could get, because there were like one or two that were like really tricky to get.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it looks as HD.
Yeah. And hopefully, like, they were saying that if this one does well enough, they would actually do a re-release of 12. And then that's one that I really like, that really kind of drugged me through the game. Like,
yeah. 12 I've played, but the story just didn't grab me enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked the characters and the setting and all that, because that's where Tactics is set in.
Yeah.
So that kind of disappointed me, that the story is, not, to me, it wasn't that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like I know, like I found out about, what happens and all that sort of stuff, and I'm thinking, well, if they brought some of those elements in earlier, then I probably would have stuck with it.
I know that you're a Star Trek fan. Like, how are you on Star Wars, though?
I guess I'm okay with Star Wars.
You're okay. No, I bring it up because with 12, like, I would sit there and I would, or with like a lot of Final Fantasies, I would sit there and I would say, like, wow, this is so much stuff out of Star Wars.
Yeah. We had the same reaction whenever we were playing 12. We would go, gosh, this reminds us of Star Wars. Even the music.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a lot of those elements there. So yeah, that was amusing to see that they had those sort of Star Wars-like moments, especially on the airship. I think that's where a lot of it seemed to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even within the first hour, there's like a shot with like an airship coming, like landing, and like there's a parade going on and everything. And I was like, oh my god, this is like a shot like frame for frame. This is like something like that I saw in Naboo, like happening like in Star Wars 1.
Maybe Ivalice is a member of the Senate or something.
Probably. That'd be pretty cool. If like Fran was a senator or something like that. I mean, they made like ET senators, so. Yeah.
But I have to say my two favorite characters were Fran and Balthier.
Yeah.
They were like really well done, and the voice acting was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked those two characters. And I was kind of thinking when I was first playing that game that I wish they'd release a third Tactics game.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'd be good if they do it on the 3DS and they use the same style, the art style from 12.
Oh, did you see the 12 game that was on DS?
Yeah, I played it.
You played that one? And what was that?
That was okay. I didn't mind it. Mm-hmm. I thought the final boss battle was quite ridiculous. It's like sitting there, sand attack, sand attack, sand attack, and that's all it was.
Wow.
It just, I guess it was a bit disappointing. And it was just the way it was. It just took a long time to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I got there and finished it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you feel about region locking?
It's crap.
It's crap. I think that's a dumb question, but I mean, like, it's just so weird that the DS was such an open system, and now we're in the 3DS, which is like locked down.
Yeah, well, a good example is with Devil Survivor Overclocked.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got that August 2011,
mm-hmm.
and it only just came out for the European regions February or March of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it took them about almost 2 years to get it, and then from what I read about it, because it had like bugs and stuff as well, and they patched it up. But there's no actual localization, so the game doesn't have multiple language support in Europe. It's all English. So, and from what I've been able to understand and reading about it, Atlas just gave them the Japanese game, the US script, and then Ghostlight had to put it all together.
Wow.
That's how I interpret what happened.
Okay.
So instead of giving them the US version, so then they could just tweak it or whatever for the European regions, it's like they had to start from scratch to create the European version.
And what's usually expected for the European regions is like French, Spanish, and Italian. Also,
yeah, it's like 3 or 4 languages. Yeah.
Because I know in Canada, like even for some of them to actually, I think it's like law or something like that, where you have to have French support for some of the media.
Yeah. So it's, and I just don't understand why, I can't just import a game from America to play here.
Yeah.
It's like it's in English. It's like I should be able to just get it and play it. So it's a bit frustrating. It's like, I mean, now with Atlas games, I guess it's okay because Nipponichi Software has stepped in and they've got like a partnership going where they'll be bringing a bunch of Atlas games over to the European regions. So that's starting with Etrian Odyssey, which is just about to come out in a couple of weeks. Then mid-September, Soul Hackers is coming out. And I think either November or December or something like that, SMT4 should be coming out.
Yeah.
But I don't know the extent of their partnership. That could be it, and then we'll be back to square one with their games again.
Well, right now, just Atlas period is like in such a state of like, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I think for Atlas, they're in the bidding process right now. Sega has been said to be one of the bidders. So
yeah. Nintendo should buy them.
Oh, Nintendo should buy them? Well, it was really like surprising that they announced, Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei, and you're like, oh wow, I really want that. And then only like a few months later, that's when they're like, oh, Index Corporation is going down.
Yeah. So, who knows if they... Well, it seems like that game is still in development. But yeah, I guess we just have to wait and see what actually comes out of it. Yeah. So, hopefully they'll reveal some details soon. But yeah, with Atlas, I hope they're able to have a successful bid. And then I guess they can have the stability again, that they can just continue doing their stuff. But then if Nintendo doesn't get it, then I don't want, say, Sony to get them either. So I would prefer someone who would publish it across multiple systems.
Yeah.
So if it's not Nintendo. So that way, at least, it could still come to Wii U or whatever. Or like Matt's been sort of mumbling over there, Ubisoft. So, who knows, it will be interesting to see who actually buys them out. But yeah, with the region locking, it's like, I don't understand why it's such a big issue. It's like they say it's to do with the ratings, so that parents can get the right games for their children.
Yeah.
It's like not as if parents really care about ratings. I mean, I saw a parent happily buying an MA game for their little 10-year-old or whatever. So what difference does it make?
Well, do you have those sort of like unofficial, official channels? Like you were talking about the consumer agency before, like kind of coaching you on how to have like.
Well, a similar situation happened, I think, either within the last decade in relation to DVD players.
Mm.
That basically our consumer organisation, the one that's been set up by the government, basically ruled that DVD players in Australia must be region free.
Mm-hmm.
So any DVD player that we get in the shops either must be region free, or we must be given instructions on how to make it region free.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just inputting some commands, and it'll make it region free. So yeah, I think that was a big thing for us. So, but with regards to region locking for games, it seems they can't do much.
Mm-hmm.
Or they said they can't really do much about it or something. I'm hoping that Nintendo stops it though. Just release a firmware update that removes it. On a different note, we recently, or at the beginning of this year, we only just got the R18 rating for games.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, games that may have gotten an 18 rating were just refused classification, meaning they just couldn't be sold.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, some games got caught up in that. What is it?
Saint Cross, or was it something?
What's that? Saints Row?
Saints Row?
Yeah, the new one.
Saints Row 4?
Yeah. That got refused classification because of the anal probe and the drug use.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, well, why can't that be put into the 18? That's what it's for.
Mm.
So, but apparently they've adjusted it, and I think it's now been rated, but it's been rated at MA 15.
Wow.
So it's just bizarre. And then some zombie game got refused classification as well. I can't remember which one it was. It just seems weird that, that's what the rating is for, and yet because of the drug use, they just can't give it that rating because I think it'll influence people too much or something. I think that's probably what it is. So yeah.
I think there was a situation with Mortal Kombat, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was refused classification, and people were just importing it.
So there is an outlet to actually get the games despite the refusal?
No, you had to do it online.
Oh, okay.
No shops were allowed to. You can't sell the games here.
Uh-huh.
You could import it, but you had to be careful because if you imported a game that was refused classification, you could get fined if customs opens it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people got it through Steam, so they just downloaded it.
Oh, okay.
And there's no way to really block that. Yeah. But I think it has been classified recently with when the 18 started.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think it got classified. I think it is classified now, so people can now buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Ninja Gaiden was the first one to get the 18 rating. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, it was the Wii U version.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a sense, it made history in Australia for being the first game to get that rating, but it never got released here.
What?
It never went on sale here. It got the rating, but they just didn't sell it. But you could import it from the UK.
Was there an increase in the Wii U after that, or?
Sorry?
Did more people jump on getting an actual Wii U after that, or?
I don't know if that helped with sales or not, but yeah. I think it was just amusing that people saying, a family-friendly system is the first one to get an R18.
That's it for our talk with Igor. If you think he's a cool guy, follow him on Twitter at Diaglyph, Diaglyph. And for more of my nonsense, you can follow me as well, at Neshoba78.
And so, from Boston Harbor to the Bay Area, good night, good morning, across the nation, around the world, whenever, wherever. This is Neshoba, signing off.